Hello, and welcome back. I'm Claire. This is Purple Poppy, and welcome to the new Sunday Stitching project. Now, if you haven't seen my Ko-fi Friday project pages, you won't have seen me making this, although you might have seen me showing you this in last Sunday's video. If you want to see exactly how I made this, you can go over to my Ko-fi and you'll see there are two separate Friday videos where I make this cover. Okay, there's nothing clever about it really, it's just scraps of fabric that have been laid down to make, you know, like a patchwork, and then because it's hexes, I put hexagons all over it. I have then chosen a number of pieces of fabric and paper to put into the book. I'm now going to stitch it in to make it a complete book. Now you will notice that I've got this space here. I don't know, what is that, almost an inch, because that allows me to add another signature behind this one at a later date. Okay, so make sure that you line your first signature all the way up to the edge of your front cover. Okay, and you can see I've used giant paper clips to hold it all in place. And then what I'm going to do now, I've got a nice fold line there, is I'm simply going to take my ruler. In case you've never stitched a book before, if you have, then obviously you can march forward. I'm taking a Friction pen and I'm coming down to 2-inch mark, and I'm coming up, so then if I line the 8 at the bottom and come up to the 6, so that is 2 inches again, and then if I line that up to that, that's 4.5, so I'm gonna go 2.25, and they are going to be my stitch points. Now to make my life easy, I'm going to turn my book over. I'm going to do exactly the same thing again, so I'm going to line it up. Oh, okay. It's just that obviously it's further over because the inches are on the other side. Line it up to the top, try and rest it sort of on your table like that. There's my 2-inch mark. Is that my 2-inch mark? Bring it down to 8. There's my 6-inch mark, and then there is my 2.25 mark. Now that should line up with what's inside. Famous last words, eh? I'm going to take a needle. I'm putting this grey thread in. That's the same grey that I used for there. Just give myself 1, 2, 3 times the length of the book. Snip that off. Oh goodness me, I can't even snip the thread today. That's no good, is it? Snip the thread, thread your needle, and we're going to come out from the inside, so that will tell us whether or not our lines are our little black dots are where we want them to be. Now you can punch through with an awl if you want to, but when you've got a fabric cover, it's very difficult sometimes to see the hole because the fabric sort of sucks itself back together. You don't need a knot. Open up your book and go straight through with your needle, and you can see, look, that is actually in the right place. So measuring it like that really does work. And then we'll come so that we've got a nice long string, but not too much, like that. About the length of the page is a good measurement usually. Follow this up, so we're just on that line of dots. There's my black dot, there's my fold, so it should go in there. That's not brilliant, is it? And the problem you've got is obviously when you stab through paper, you do get a hole, but it is what it is. So just, you know, be a little bit careful. Yeah, well, that's where it's going to be. It doesn't really matter. Okay, and then come back out the other side like that. See, now that one's lined up. It is what it is. Okay, now we're going back through that hole there that we came through originally. Now we haven't quite lined it up, but and we're going the opposite side of the thread. So this one is on the right and this one is on the left. Can you see that? Yeah? Pull it nice and tight, wrap it around your fingers, give it a nice tight pull. Make sure that it is, taut, and then just tie it. Now, when we did our book last week, obviously we went up and down all the way because it was all fabric, but I've got paper in here, and then I've just trimmed them so they're roughly the same length. I can now take out all my paper clips. 1, 2, oops, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, now bring your book over, and that is all stitched together and is now an actual book. I've just got strings still coming off. I've added this adornment. This is from my friend Denise, and the reason I've done that is because this is the Arty Farty Heart Swap that she made me at the beginning of the year. She has just made me a Hexi one with the home on, but that's blue. So I've put my red heart on this and I put my blue Hexi on my round blue dot-a-day one. You don't really care, do you? So now we're all stitched in, okay? And we can start to use our book. But because we went all the way to the edge, we've got room to put another set of pages in if we want to. Now I know somebody's going to ask, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces folded in half. These dots we can iron out, that's not a problem because it's a heat erasable pen. And because I've got 12, and we can, if we want to, use both sides, that means we've got 20 pages. And you'll see that I've deliberately made them all different sizes. Now this week, because it's been Remembrance Sunday, I have already made this poppy and rosemary Hexi. And I think I'm going to put that on page 1, lined up. You can see this is an old shirt. There's the buttonhole. I think I'm going to put it lined up with that button plaid. I think it's called a plaid. And that's where I will be joining it to my book. So that is my one for Remembrance Sunday. So today I'd like to make one to sit here to join to it. So I can make a smaller one this would be too big because it would be going over there. I could make an offset one to go there, or I could make one the same size but only half of it. You can do whatever you want to do. Now, because I know I'm going to be doing a lot of these, I have pre-cut myself a number of cardboard templates. Okay, so I've got the giant one. This is the one that I used for the felted one. I've got an edge for the giant one so that I can do the folded over, and then this is the middle, I believe. No, it's not, but that's another size, and I've just got various size ones that I can use, but of course I can still, if I want to, do another one. So today I'm going to do one that I think will fit here nicely. I don't really, do I want it the same size? I could do it the same size, couldn't I? See, decisions. You thought I was just going to be completely ready and organised, didn't you? Or we could get really arty and we could line this up here and we could just stitch the Hexi. But I wanted to do some writing. So I think I'm going to cut one this size and I'm going to tuck it underneath. So I'm going to grab a bit of white fabric. It doesn't really matter what fabric it is, it's whatever you've got, whatever you like. This is an old serviette. I bought a bundle of these on eBay. They ended up being about 50p each, which was amazing. But I am on the last few now. So let's move that over there. Let's put this on here so that we can draw a Hexi shape. Like so. But I want to turn it over, do like a needle turn. So then I'm going to put this one on it to show me where my pattern has to end. Oops. And come down there like that. So this is the piece that I'm going to use today. And I'd like a message on it. So first things first, let's cut it out so we can see how it fits under that piece. Now I appreciate that when you're watching this, Remembrance Day is gone, because it's actually today when I'm filming. So I didn't catch it on the telly last weekend, so I don't know if it will be on the telly while this is live on YouTube, being a Sunday late because it's in the middle of the week. I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Okay, so I've trimmed out my Hexi, and every time I work in this book, it doesn't matter what I do, it is always going to be in a hexagon. Okay, so that's going to turn over to be stitched down, and it's going to sit under this one. So I could come down a little bit further because that is going to be folded there. So now I know exactly where my space is, and I'm just going to write very basically a time to, I'm going uphill, a time to remember, and I'm going to stitch that. So I think because of the red and black poppies, do I want to stitch it in red or black? Now there's a question. I think I'm going to do this this variegated black, because I think it will give me a mixture of colour. I think black on its own, although it's, a sad thing, it might be a bit too harsh to look at. So I'm going to thread my needle. Famous last words. Although I've got to be honest and say, I find it much easier with this perlé than with the sweet treats. Now, as always, look, I've got much too much thread. I know. Right. So I'm going to pick this back up. I'm going to start right at the bottom of my A. Myself a tail. Obviously you can stitch however you choose. I'm just going to do a fairly small, well, small for me, back stitch all the way round, and then I'm going to come back and whip it. So just slowly enjoying a little bit of stitching. Don't often do letters, and to have letters in your own handwriting I think is nice. When I was doing the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, it's like a flower book, wasn't it? Last year I did print the writing in, I think the font was called Harrington, so that all the writing throughout the book remain the same. But I thought, you know what, put your big girl pants on and write it yourself. My handwriting's not brilliant, but it's not too bad. And I think, if these things, oh God, I'm getting morbid now, it's because of what I'm stitching, but if these things are going to hang around and children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren even, see them, it might be nice that it was your action. Not only did you make the thing, but it was your actual handwriting. Yeah, no, get off. Right, watch your eyes. I'm going to put the lamp on because I just feel like I can't see very well. thread wants to be joined in, doesn't it? Look. Go away. So yeah, just that was a little one, wasn't it? As you know, I didn't join in the Roxy Girls project for the last 2 times actually. I didn't do this gathered things, and I didn't do the landscape thing, you know, where they did the portrait painting only in stitching the time before. So we'll see, because they'll be finishing at Christmas and there'll be a new one coming out, and we'll see what that ends up being. Right, now let's feed this thread neatly back up to that point there. I know there was a couple of people that commented how quickly they felt the fabric book series had gone and how they'd thoroughly enjoyed it. Some wished there was more. And this is what I was saying about, you could have added in extra pages if you'd have wanted to. Okay, so now I'm just gonna whip all the way around that. So under that one. Oh, sounds like Boo's on the move. You could obviously whip in a different colour if you wanted to. That always looks pretty around Christmas time. Oh yeah, she's definitely on the move. I'm probably going to have to get up and sort her out. So I'm just going to pop you on pause, sort the dog out, and I'll be back. Okay, the dog is fed and happy. We can continue with our project. So the only thing you need to remember, if you've not done this before, when you whip your stitches, you need to make sure that you constantly go from the same side. Doesn't matter whether you go top to bottom, right to left, whatever you want to call it, as long as each one's the same. If it's not the same, you'll end up with a very strange pattern going on. How do I know? Yeah, I know because I've done it. So we've done our crossbar and we've come round from the crossbar joining point. We're nearly at the bottom of that first arm of the letter, and we can see that the thread is starting to change now, so we're adding, you know, different colouring. And then when I've got to the bottom, I'm just going to poke through the back like that. So now we've got this, you can see the difference, how this is raised whereas this is stitching. Yeah, so now I'm just going to feed back across my work to get to that point where I started my whipping, and because I've gone up and across you can't really see, and then come through to the front and then I'm just going to carry on down the other side. Now, like everything else in my life, you can see that my writing is quite, well, I'm going to have to put the point through here because that's such a small stitch. The only trouble is when you put the point through, you run the risk of catching the fabric underneath, which is why we put it through the other way. It just feels safer, I think is the correct term there. Yes, sorry, my writing is huge like my hands, so it's easy and quick to stitch. Obviously, if you've got small handwriting, you might want to consider using a sewing machine type thread rather than an embroidery thread. Okay, so I've done that. I'm going to jump down to the bottom of the E and I'm going to go again, trying to do small stitches because that's how you get a good curve. Ow, stitched into my finger. That's not good, is it? Right, this is probably quite boring to watch, so I'm gonna turn the camera off for a minute, get this done, and then I'll come back and I've done all of my lettering and we'll sew these in place. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so you can see it's all stitched now, and I'm gonna, oh, before I do it, you can see what I was saying about two colour, because there with the variegated it started to change colour, so we've got this almost stripy O, which I like, fortunately. Now you could fold it, you could iron this, but obviously if I iron it, it's going to take out my lines, although I've got to be honest, I don't think that matters, to be honest. But anyway, I'm going to pick that up, pop that down there, and I've just, oh no, yeah, there is a pin there. Try that pin out. Sorry, I had the pin in my mouth. Move it down a little bit, make sure it's exactly where I want it, and then I'm going to pin through both. Okay, now that's there, like that. Okay, now I want to stitch both of these down, but I obviously don't want to go through to the cover, and that's part of the reason I'm going to do like an applique stitch, not applique stitch, needle turn type stitch. So, oh, that pin's not going to work. I just want to make sure I stay square on that line. So I'm going to grab a pin. I know lots of people don't like pins in their work. I'd like to have things as close to straight as I can manage. So if that means a pin or two, so be it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take a normal sewing needle, because that was a big embroidery one, wasn't it? And take normal sewing needle. Where is it? There. With normal white sewing thread in it. I am going to do a knot this time. And obviously I don't want to go all the way through. So I'm sure you know how to do this, but just in case, because somebody always asks the things that I think I don't need to say. So pick up from behind, making sure it's just this layer that you've put in to hide all the stitching of the front, and then just pick up one or two threads from your hexie, pull it through, and then I tend to go back and then back through and then back and back through. Okay, I said a plique automatically because this is how I sew the edge on my quilts. I don't know if it's what you're supposed to do, I don't know if it's what other people do, but it's the way I do it. So back a little bit, pick up this cream thread only, you don't want to go through the front, come back out of your hexie, pick up behind, back out of your hexie, and just go all the way round, and just make sure that you go a little bit lower than the edge of your hexie. So back, down, through. If you need a rhythm, back, down, through. Okay, back, down, through. Whoops. Okay, and that is now attached on there. Okay, so now I'm going to come up this side, and this one is padded so it's even thicker. So back, down, through. Now I've come a bit too far to the front there, you really want to be more on that side bit, but it will be okay. Back, down, through. And I'm just going to go all the way around. Now if you really wanted to, especially when you get to the paper ones, you could stick these down. I mean, it is, you know, a sewing project, so I don't quite know why you'd want to, but if you really did, then obviously you could take some double-sided sticky tape, because that's the other thing actually, although it's meant as a sewing project, there's no reason, if you wanted to join in but you're not really a stitcher, although I don't know why you'd be watching Sunday stitching video, but hey ho, you could be doing it in paper, definitely. I mean, the project is hexagons, it's not that it, you know, there's no law. I'm not stitching police, I'm not going to come and reprimand you for not stitching it. So making sure that I've got a single thread to keep it fine, not pulling too hard because I don't want too many dimples around my edge, but just smooth, back, down, through. Right, back, down, through. I don't know about you, but I actually find a rhythm for doing things quite useful. And there you go, if you really pull at it you can see the stitches, but as it lies you can't. So I'm going to sit here and get this finished as homework, but I'm going to leave you to get on with your day. And if, you know, remembrance and poppy is not your thing, then you could have done a rose and you could have put your own little message. Whatever, you know, it's your project. So I'll see you in a fortnight for page 2 when we do a different type of hexi, maybe even a different size. Because next week we're starting the Christmas pouch with the poinsettia. Stay safe. I'll see you very soon. Bye bye for now.